Everything changed the moment the system awakened. Levels, stats, skills, dungeons, power beyond imagination. With the blood of a Saiyan, the mind of a gamer, and a destiny that will shake the entire shinobi world, Naruto is about to become something far greater than Hokage. This is Naruto, the Gamer Experience. Now let's begin today's chapter. The clock on the bedside table of Naruto's bedroom ticks softly and its display shows just past midnight. In the dim light of the spacious bedroom, lies Naruto in the center of an enormous bed that is easily large enough to accommodate 7 people. His face is partially obscured by bandages and covering the wound where his left eye had been. Naruto's chest rises and falls in a steady rhythm while his sleep is seemingly peaceful, but around him, arranged like a protective circle, are the women who love him most. Kaguya is curled up against Naruto's right side with her pale fingers gently gripping the fabric of his shirt, her long white hair spreading out on the pillow and mingling with Naruto's red locks. Sarada lies on Naruto's left side with her glasses neatly folded on the nightstand, one hand resting lightly on Naruto's arm as if to reassure herself of his presence. Tsunade is positioned near Naruto's head with her hand is close to his bandaged face, ready to check on his condition at a moment's notice. Mujina is curled up at the foot of the bed as her form rises and falls with each breath. Isdeth lies on Kaguya's right side while maintaining a protective stance, her body angled towards Naruto as if ready to defend him from unseen threats. Yen nestles close to Naruto's legs with one hand resting on his knee, her face peaceful but alert even in rest. The room is quiet save for the soft sounds of breathing as moonlight filters through the partially drawn curtains, casting a soft glow over the sleeping forms. A barely audible groan escapes Naruto's lips suddenly as his remaining eye flutters open. Where, Naruto thought, taking a moment to assess his situation and feeling the comforting weight of his loved ones surrounding him. Their presence brings a small smile to his lips, despite the dull ache pulsing through his body. He can feel Kaguya's gentle grip on his shirt while Sarada's hand on his arm and the others positioned protectively around him. A clone materializes silently beside the bed and Naruto initiates the substitution jutsu, his clone making sure to no disturb the sleeping girls. Naruto takes a moment to stretch his stiff muscles and popping his joints softly but wincing slightly at the lingering pain to his left eye. He quietly makes his way to the adjoining bathroom with his movements cautious and deliberate. He closes the door softly behind him and the cool tiles beneath his feet send a shiver through him as he approaches the large mirror above the sink. Naruto's hand hesitates for a moment before reaching up to touch the bandage covering his left eye. The stark white gauze stands out against his tanned skin and a glaring reminder of the battle he endured with Tonari. "Everything is healed but your eye, boy," Musashi says, a mix of relief and concern coloring her tone. Naruto sighs with his shoulders slumping slightly and leans forward while bracing himself against the sink as he stares at his reflection. "I owe you, old man Hamura," he thought, seeing his face etched in the lines of fatigue. A pair of arms slowly wrap around him from behind and the sudden warmth startles him but doesn't flinch, instead feels his body relax instinctively and recognizing the touch. "Kaguya," Naruto says, his voice barely heard. She rests her cheek on his shoulder with her pale eyes meeting his in the mirror. "You shouldn't be up. You need rest," Kaguya murmurs, her breath tickling his skin. Fine. I just needed a moment," Naruto says, placing his hand over hers and intertwining their fingers. Kaguya tightens her embrace and presses herself closer to him. "We were so worried when you appeared like that," she says, her voice wavering slightly. Naruto turns in her arms to face her directly and cups her face gently while his thumb brushes away a tear she hadn't realized has fallen. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you all," he says, his voice thick with emotion. Kaguya leans into his touch while her eyes close briefly, but when she opens them again as they are filled with a mixture of love and a hint of vulnerability. "Naruto. I was so frightened when I saw you. It made me realize something," Kaguya whispers, her voice trembling slightly. What is it, Kagaya? Naruto says, his brow furrowing with concern. I don't want to wait anymore. I know you've been intimate with Mujina and his death, and I want that too. I want you to take my virginity, Kagaya says after taking a deep breath, her pale eyes meeting his gaze steadily. Kagaya. Are you sure? This is a big step and you've been through a lot today. I don't want you to rush into anything because you're feeling emotional, Naruto says with his eye widening in surprise and his hand still on her cheek. No, Naruto. I've been thinking about this for a while. Seeing you hurt just made me realize how precious our time together is. I love you and I want to express that love fully, Kagaya says with a shake of her head, her long white hair swaying with the motion. Naruto studies her face while searching for any sign of doubt but finds none, and he pulls her closer. I love you too, Kagaya, he says, resting his forehead against hers. Kagaya's lips curl into a soft smile with her cheeks flushing a delicate pink. I am certain, my love, she murmurs, her hands sliding up his chest to rest on his shoulders. Naruto leans in with his lips brushing against hers in a gentle kiss before taking her hand and leads her out of the bathroom. They step into the dimly lit bedroom as they are met by an unexpected sight of the other girls fully awake, their eyes fixed on the couple. Tsunade sits at the edge of the bed with her arms folded under her ample bosom and her legs crossed. A knowing smirk plays on her lips as she regards Kagaya and Naruto. So, what are you plotting, Kagaya? Tsunade says, her voice laced with amusement. The same thing you. Sarada and you were thinking, I imagine, Kagaya replies, her voice soft but firm as her cheeks were a deeper shade of pink. Sarada adjusts her glasses with a faint blush dusting her cheeks. I don't know what you mean, she stammers, but her eyes betray her true feelings. I think we all know exactly what we're thinking, Yu says, sitting cross-legged on the bed and her cheeks a little pink. Mujina and his death exchange glances with a mixture of amusement and understanding dawning on their faces. Naruto is still holding Kagaya's hand and looks around at the women he loves. I think we all have a lot to talk about, he says slowly, his single visible eye softens with affection and things fade to black. Naruto busies himself preparing breakfast in the kitchen after a night of passion and lovemaking with 6 beautiful women. The sizzle of bacon in the pan and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee fills the air. He moves with practiced ease, cracking eggs into a bowl and whisking them with a fork. The toaster pops and releases perfectly golden slices of bread. He arranges a platter of fresh fruit like vibrant strawberries, juicy orange slices and plump blueberries, adding a pop of color to the breakfast spread. The sound of footsteps draws his attention as Tsunade appears, her blonde hair tousled from sleep and wearing one of Naruto's oversized t-shirts. Something smells amazing, Tsunade murmurs, padding over to him. Good morning. I hope you're hungry, Naruto says with a soft grin, turning to plant a quick kiss on her cheek. Tsunade wraps her arms around his waist from behind and peeks over his shoulder at the stove, starving. I think we all worked up quite an appetite last night, she admits with a chuckle and kisses his shoulder as Naruto chuckles. The sound of more shuffling footsteps announce the arrival of the others as they filter into the kitchen one by one while drawn by the enticing smells and the promise of a hearty breakfast. Good morning, everyone. Breakfast is almost ready. Why don't you all have a seat, Naruto says warmly, taking in the sight of his sleepy-eyed companions. The women mumble their good mornings and settle around the large dining table. There's a soft buzz of conversation as they discuss the events of the previous night, punctuated by occasional giggles and meaningful glances to their redhead. Naruto brings over plates laden with fluffy scrambled eggs, crispy bacon and golden biscuits. He sets down a basket of toast, a gallon jug of juice and the fruit platter in the center of the table. Dig in, Naruto encourages, taking his own seat. They begin to eat with the conversation flows easily, filled with laughter and playful banter. The awkwardness that might have followed such an intense night together is notably absent but replaced instead by a warm camaraderie. Naruto can't help but feel a sense of contentment as he looks around the table at the smiling faces of these incredible women. I hate to break up this lovely breakfast, but there's something I need to discuss with you all, Naruto says while clearing his throat, setting down his fork and addresses the group. The women's attention focus on him with their expressions shifting from relaxed to attentive. After we finish eating, I'm going to see Itachi. I need to talk to him about heading to Kodaku with Akari. We have to stop Toby from getting his hands on the Ryujin, Naruto explains, looking each in the eye. A concerned frown crosses the girls' faces. That sounds dangerous, Naruto. I wish we could go with you, but... Tsunade says but trails off, her brow furrowing. The poison on that continent. It would be harmful to us, Sarada says, finishing the thought for her. Unfortunately, yes. That's why I have to go alone with Akari. We're the only ones who can withstand the effects, Naruto says, nodding grimly. How long do you think you'll be gone? And is there anything we can do to help prepare you for the journey, Yaa says, being ever practical. I'm not sure how long it will take. I'll need to ask Akari, but I promise to return as quickly as I can. As for preparation, your support means more to me than you know, Naruto says, appreciating their concern and willingness to help. Be careful, Naruto. Toby is not an enemy to be underestimated. Promise us you'll come back safely, Kaguya says, remembering yesterday and Naruto crashing in front of her. Naruto's gaze sweeps across the table and meeting each woman's eyes in turn. I promise. I have too much to live for to take unnecessary risks, he says solemnly. The conversation continues as they finish their breakfast while discussing strategies and contingencies. The meal winds down as Naruto stands up and stretching his arms above his head. I should get ready to head out, he announces, gathering up the empty plates. I've got this. You all relax a bit longer, Tsunade says, rising to help him, but he gently waves her off. Naruto quickly rinses the dishes and loads them into the dishwasher, his mind already shifting to the task ahead. He heads to the bedroom and rifles through his closet or drawers for something comfortable yet practical. He settles on a pair of well-worn jeans with a plain black t-shirt goes on next, followed by a navy blue hoodie. He sits on the edge of the bed to pull on his socks and a pair of sturdy tennis shoes. He ties the laces but can hear the muffled voices of the girls still chatting in the kitchen and a small smile plays on his lips. Naruto approaches the mirror and gives himself a quick once-over, but his hand moves towards his face, fingers gently brushing against the bandage covering his damaged eyes. Once I defeat Toby, I'll get his Sharingan, Naruto murmurs softly to himself. Indeed, Boye, Musashi says, as if in response to his thoughts and her voice echoing in her mind. Naruto's lips quirk into a small smile and traces the edge of the bandage, remembering the battle that led to this moment. His fingers move to his hair next and running through the spiky red strands in a futile attempt to tame them. Naruto returns to the kitchen as the girls look up at his approach. I'm heading out now, he says, his voice tinged with a reluctance to leave. Each woman take a turn embracing him with soft kisses, offering words of encouragement and reminders to be careful. Kaguya is the last while holding him tightly for a moment before stepping back. We'll be here when you return, she assures him, her pale eyes meeting his blue one. I won't be long, Naruto says, with a final kiss and heads for the front door. He steps out into the cool morning air and zips up his hoodie before shoving his hands into the pockets. The streets of Konoha are beginning to bustle with activity as he makes his way towards the Hokage Tower. The familiar sights and sounds of the village surround him, of shopkeepers opening their stores, the aroma of fresh bread wafting from bakeries and the chatter of villagers going about their morning routines. Naruto approaches the imposing structure of the Hokage Tower as the guards at the entrance nod respectfully as he passes, while recognizing him instantly and quickly makes it to the top floor. Naruto takes a deep breath and composes himself before raising his hand to knock firmly on the wooden door. Enter comes Itachi's calm voice from within. Naruto pushes the door open and steps into the spacious office with sunlight streaming through the large windows, illuminating the room and glinting off the polished surface of Itachi's desk. The Hokage himself sits behind it and his dark eyes lifting from a stack of papers to meet Naruto's gaze. Naruto. You're awake, Itachi says, his voice a mix of relief and concern. Naruto nods with a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Yeah. I woke around midnight last night. The girls took care of me, but I wanted to talk to you about Kodaku, he explains, moving closer to the desk. Itachi's brow furrows slightly at the mention of Kodaku. He gestures for Naruto to take a seat in one of the comfortable chairs facing his desk. I see. How are you feeling? Are you sure you're ready to discuss this? Itachi says, his tone becoming more serious. I'm feeling much better. Musashi has healed most everything. And yes. I think it's important we talk about this as soon as possible, Naruto says, taking a seat in his posture straight but relaxed. Very well. Akari has told much about the island, Itachi says, folding his hands on the desk. Heading to Kodaku with Akari is risky but prudent. We have to stop Tobi from getting his hands on the Ryujin, Naruto says, his blue eye meeting Itachi's dark ones. Indeed. Tobi orchestrated the attack by Musashi and seeks a weapon like the Ryujin for Akatsuki, but he'll need the armor to deal with the poison that permeates the continent, Itachi says, his expression serious. Which is why Akari needs to head out soon, Naruto says, his expression firm. And you're sure you're ready for this mission so soon? You've only just recovered. Itachi states, softly, and leans back in his chair with his fingers steepled in his lap. Naruto's expression hardens with determination. I am. I know the risks, but this is something I have to do, he says resolutely. Very well. Tell me. What do you need from me to prepare for this mission? Itachi says, studying Naruto with a nod. Naruto's hand unconsciously moves to the bandage covering his left eye and his fingers tracing the edge of it. Not much actually. Just give me a day or two to get back into the groove. It's going to take some adjusting with only one eye now, he replies, his voice tinged with a mix of determination and a hint of weariness. Itachi's gaze softens with a flicker of concern passing over his features and leans forward slightly. Of course, Naruto. Take whatever time you need. Your recovery is paramount, he says, his elbows resting on the desk. There's a moment of silence between them, heavy with unspoken thoughts as Naruto's hand drops from his face and he meets Itachi's gaze with his remaining eye. While you're here, Naruto, there's something I wish to discuss with you. Your fight with Tonari on the moon. I'd like to hear more about it. If you're willing to share, Itachi begins, clearing his throat softly and his tone careful. It was intense. Tonari had this incredible dojutsu called the Tensigen. I've never seen anything like it before. Naruto begins, his voice low. The Tensigen? I've never heard whispers of such a power. Those his eyes were similar to the Byakugan. An upgrade perhaps, Itachi says, his interest piqued. Perhaps, but it's not just the eyes. He had this chakra cloak too. Something called the Tensigen chakra cloak. When he activated it, his power skyrocketed and I couldn't keep up to start. The Tensigen chakra grazed my eye and the corrosive chakra permanently destroyed my eye, but the clash became even, Naruto says, his remaining eye distant as he recalls the battle. How did you manage to defeat him? Itachi asks, his voice filled with quiet awe. It was close. Really close. I matched him blow for blow, Naruto says, and his hand again touches the bandage. Yeah, it was tough. SSJ3 in Sage mode gave me an edge I wouldn't have had otherwise, he adds with a determined smile playing on his lips, towards the end of the fight. Tonari tried to use a powerful attack, but I countered with my Super Gallic, which blasted Tonari from the moon to the sun, he finishes, his voice picking up with renewed energy. From the moon to the sun? That's unheard of, Naruto, Itachi says, his eyebrows shooting up and clearly impressed. Yeah. But I can't take all the credit. I got this sudden boost of energy from Himura Otsutsuki. It was like he was there with me and lending me his strength, Naruto says, a hint of pride in his voice. Itachi sits back in his chair and processes this information. Himura Otsutsuki. He murmurs, his dark eyes thoughtful. Yeah. according to my observe skill. Hamura is actually the brother of the Sage of Six Paths, Naruto says, nodding with a thoughtful expression. That's quite fascinating, Naruto. We truly don't know everything about chakra if someone long dead can help, Itachi says, clearly intrigued by this revelation. Indeed. Hamura even gave me enough chakra to use instant transmission to get back home, Naruto continues, leaning forward in his chair. Itachi nods slowly while absorbing this information and after a moment speaks, I see. That explains something I've been wondering about. I know it took your SSJ4 form in Sage mode to find Kagaya initially, but when you popped back into your yard, you were in your normal state. It was unexpected, he says, his voice calm but laced with curiosity, and Naruto nods while rubbing the back of his neck. He rises from his seat and stretching slightly, I think I'll head back and relax today. Got to get used to this new perspective before my mission, Naruto says, gesturing to his bandaged eye with a wry smile. That's a wise decision, Naruto. Rest is crucial. Especially after such an ordeal, Itachi says, his expression softening with understanding. Naruto turns to leave, but Itachi calls out softly, Naruto. Take care of yourself. And thank you for sharing your experience. Your strength continues to astound me, Itachi says, meeting Naruto's remaining blue one with his gaze filled with a mixture of pride and concern. Naruto's lips quirk into a small and genuine smile, thanks. I'll see you soon, he says with final nod and excuses himself, stepping out of the office and closing the door behind him. Naruto finds himself soaring high above the vast expanse of the ocean 2 days later, his destination the mysterious continent of Kodaku. The wind whips through his hair as he flies, his dark eye patch adorned with what look to be gemstones hiding his injury. His dark blue cargo jeans that taper into knee-high lace-up boots ruffle from the wind, and a form-fitting, high-collar, lightweight tactical vest over a form-fitting, dark blue long-sleeve shirt and his hitayate hanging from belt. Over his vest is a hooded jacket with its fabric also rippling in the strong currents of air. Tucked safely in a stasis scroll at his side is Akari and his companion for this perilous mission. Naruto's mind races with thoughts of what lies ahead, the weight of their task settling heavily on his shoulders. Quite the scenery, boy of Musashi says, as Naruto soars through the sky. He passes through numerous clouds with their cool moisture clinging to his skin. The sensation is refreshing while helping to clear his mind and focus his thoughts on the challenge that awaits on Kodaku. The ocean stretches endlessly below him, a vast blue expanse that seems to go on forever. Naruto can't help but marvel at the sight, even as his heart quickens with anticipation for what's to come. Yeah. Reminds me of heading to the northern continent, Naruto thought. His hand unconsciously moves to touch the scroll containing Akari. Her words echo in his mind, reminding him of the toxic atmosphere that permeates the continent and the formidable foe that awaits them. Movement in the water below catches his Naruto's and breaking him out of his reverie. He descends through the clouds, his body cutting through the mist as he glides closer to the ocean's surface. The cool spray of seawater hits his face, refreshing him after the long flight. He skims across the waves while enjoying the change of scenery. A massive form suddenly emerges from the depths. A colossal whale breaches the surface, its enormous body glistening in the sunlight as it arcs through the air. Naruto's eyes widen in surprise and quickly swerves to avoid the unexpected obstacle. The whale's massive tail slaps against the water, sending a shower of droplets into the air. Whoa, man. I should have brought my camera. That would have been an awesome shot, Naruto exclaims, his heart racing from the close call as he watches the majestic creature sink back into the ocean. You could always buy one from the store. But maybe focus on finishing your mission first, Boya Musashi suggests, her tone light and playful. Hi. I know. Mission first and whale watching later, Naruto thought, casting one last glance at the rippling water where the whale disappeared before returning his gaze to the horizon. Now. Kaioken 10x, Naruto shouts, his voice carrying across the vast ocean, and in an instant. A brilliant red aura explodes around him and enveloping his body in a fiery glow. He shoots forward like a jet engine with a thunderous boom, leaving a trail of crimson energy in his wake. The ocean below becomes a blur of blue and white as he streaks across the sky, his speed now far beyond what it was before. The wind howls in his ears and Naruto pushes forward for nearly 2 hours, maintaining his incredible speed. Naruto's keen eye catches sight of something on the horizon of a dark mass slowly coming into view, growing larger with each passing moment. Naruto slows his pace with the crimson aura of the Kaioken fading as he releases the technique and takes a deep breath into a heavy exhale. He draws closer but a formidable sight catches his attention. Rising from the land is a massive mountain, its peak disappearing into a swirling mass of dark but ominous clouds. The mountain looms over the landscape, an imposing presence that seems to radiate an aura of danger and mystery. Naruto comes to a halt while hovering in midair as he takes in the sight before him, his eyes narrow as he studies the foreboding mountain and the land surrounding it. So this Kodaku, Naruto says with apprehension coursing through him, and that must be Amba Koryu, he adds, his voice barely audible over the sound of the wind. His gaze fixed on the towering mountain and its dark peak shrouded in swirling clouds as he is still 3 miles from shore, but the sight of Koryu is one to see. Naruto's instincts go off as a series of medium-yield explosions suddenly erupt in the air around him. He weaves through the blasts with agile precision as his body twists and turns to avoid the danger. What the hell, Naruto mutters, his eye darting around to locate the source of the attack. A flash of white catches his attention and he looks up to see a large, bird-like creature soaring above him. Its wingspan must be at least 30 feet and its body gleams with an unnatural white sheen. You actually came Kyubi Jinchuriki. Toby was right and you can fly like old man Enochian, a voice shouts from atop the creature and Naruto uses observe to seize it as the Deidara. Deidara, Naruto says and pulls down his hood, his body tensing for battle. If Deidara's here, then Toby must already be on Kodaku, Musashi says, as Naruto nods imperceptibly. Kyubi. It time to show you true Arton. You're right on time for the show, Deidara shouts, his voice echoing across the sky. The blonde Akatsuki member quickly reaches into his pouches with his hands chewing the explosive clay. Let's see how well you dance in the air, Kyubi, Deidara shouts, flinging a barrage of small clay birds towards Naruto. His eyes narrow with his body coiling like a spring as the clay birds approach before bursting into action, weaving through the air with incredible speed and precision. Each bird explodes in a brilliant flash but Naruto remains unscathed with his movements fluid and calculated. Not bad. But how long can you keep it up? Deidara calls out, a manic grin spreading across his face as they engage in this deadly aerial dance. Is that all you've got? I thought you were supposed to be an artist, Naruto shouts, abruptly halting his movement and hovering in place with a challenging smirk on his face. Deidara's visible eye narrows with his pride stung by Naruto's taunt. You want Arton? I'll show you true art. Behold my C3, he shouts and reaches into his largest pouch, his hand-mouth chewing furiously. A clay figure with folded arms emerges from Deidara's hand. This is it, Kyubi. Art is an explosion, Deidara shouts triumphantly, dropping his C3 towards Naruto. The clay figure spreads and grows large to enormous statues but Naruto remains rooted in place as he holds his hand to charge his greenish final shine. Just as the C3 is about to near but Naruto vanishes and the explosion is tremendous, lighting up the sky with a blinding flash. The shockwave ripples through the air, creating massive waves in the ocean below as Deidara laughs maniacally and certain of his victory. That's what you get for underestimating my Arton, Deidara crows, but his celebration is short-lived. Naruto appears above Deidara in an instant and his right hand glowing with intense greenish energy. What? No, Deidara begins, his face contorting in shock and disbelief. Final shine, Naruto roars, unleashing a powerful beam of energy directly at Deidara. The blast engulfs the Akatsuki member completely and through part of the clay bird but it expands rapidly, clearly primed to explode in another high-yield explosion. Naruto doesn't hesitate and instantly flies away just as another massive explosion rocks the sky. Sorry, Deidara. But I don't have time for your art show, he says, watching the fireworks, and turns to the continent. His attention back to the looming form of Koryu and begins his descent towards Kodaku, his eyes scanning the landscape below. He approaches the base of the mountain as the desolate nature of the land becomes increasingly apparent. The ground is barren and cracked with sparse vegetation struggling to survive in the harsh environment. Streams of what appears to be toxic vapor rise from fissures in the earth, creating an eerie and otherworldly atmosphere. This must the poison, Naruto thought, flying lower, and notices the remnants of what might have once been settlements scattered across the landscape. Abandoned structures, half buried in the poisonous soil, stand as silent testaments to the hardships faced by those who call this place home. Akari said that despite the poison, people still live here, and especially the blacksmiths. They must be incredibly tough to survive in these conditions, Naruto mutters to himself, while taking in the scene below. He spots a relatively clear area near the base of the mountain and begins his descent. As he lands, the ground crunches beneath his boots, a mixture of ash and hardened soil. Naruto takes a deep breath and is grateful for poison immunity while reaching for the scroll containing Akari. In a quick instant, and she appears while blinking as she adjusts to her surroundings. We at to the base of Koryu, Akari says, her voice tinged with a mix of relief and apprehension. Naruto nods and slips off his jacket to tie it around his waist. Do we need to fly up, or is there a path upwards we need to take, he asks, eyeing the towering peak above them. We must take a path to reach the Ryujin's location, but it's not going to be an easy journey. The path is guarded by the elemental Genryu, Akari says while pointing towards a winding trail that snakes up the mountainside. Genryu, Naruto repeats, his brow furrowing in confusion. They're powerful elemental dragon spirits. Each represents a different element of fire, water, earth, wind and lightning. They're the guardians of Koryu, and they won't let just anyone pass, Akari clarifies, her voice low. Sounds like a challenge. Any tips on how to deal with these Genryu, Naruto says, cracking his knuckles. Each Genryu is unique with its own strengths and weaknesses. We'll have to adapt as we go. But remember, Naruto, our goal isn't to defeat them but to reach the summit, Akari says while shaking her head, a small smile playing on her lips despite the gravity of the situation. Right. We need to be smart about this, Naruto says, his expression turning serious. Let's go, Naruto, Akari says, her eyes fixed on the path ahead. They begin their ascent up the treacherous path with a shared nod, the looming presence of Koryu and its elemental guardians casting a shadow over their journey. Naruto and Akari move carefully with their eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of danger. The path winds its way up the mountain, occasionally narrowing to precarious ledges that force them to press their backs against the rocky wall. They soon round a particularly steep bend, but Akari suddenly grabs Naruto's arm. Look, she whispers, pointing ahead, and her eyes are wide with recognition. Naruto follows her gaze, and before them stands a pair of massive gates, their surfaces adorned with intricate carvings of waves and sea creatures. The gates are wide open while revealing a dimly lit passageway beyond. What is this place? Naruto asks, his voice hushed with awe. This is the entrance to the Genryu Hall. Specifically the domain of the water Genryu, Akari says, her expression is a mix of excitement and apprehension. Already. I thought we'd have to climb higher before encountering any of the guardians, Naruto says, his eyebrows raising. The Genryu don't always appear in a specific order. It seems the water Genryu has chosen to be our first challenge, Akari says, shaking her head. All right then. What should we expect? Naruto says with a determined nod and tightening his coat around his waist. The water Genryu is known for its fluidity and adaptability, Akari says, her voice low, but before she can elaborate further, his instincts kick in and his eyes widen as he senses a sudden surge of danger. Watch out, Naruto yells, grabbing Akari and leaping away in a burst of speed. A split second later, a tight blast of water slices through the air, cutting cleanly through the spot where they had just been standing. The water jet hits the mountainside with enough force to carve a deep groove into the rock. Naruto avoids a few jets as they land with a skid but see their attacker as their eyes widen in awe and trepidation. Before them is a majestic blue dragon, its scales shimmering like the surface of a clear lake. It has 4 muscular legs but no wings, its long, serpentine body undulating gracefully in the air. Naruto's gaze is drawn to the dragon's eyes, and what he sees there makes his blood run cold, as in each of the water Genryu's eyes is the unmistakable tomo of the Sharingan. Akari. Why does the water Genryu have Sharingan eyes? Naruto whispers, not taking his eye off the dragon. I don't know. This shouldn't be possible. The Genryu are elemental spirits. They shouldn't have dojutsu. Especially not one tied to a specific clan, Akari says while shaking her head, her face pale with shock. Boya. Toby must be controlling the Genryu like he did my original self, Musashi says, her voice filled with a sense of urgency. Toby is controlling the Genryu like he did when attacked Konoha the day I was born. He's using the Genryu as obstacles to slow us down, Naruto says, his voice low and tense. That makes sense. But to control such powerful spirits, Akari says, her expression shifts from confusion to grim understanding. Toby's always been full of surprises. We can't underestimate him, Naruto says, his eyes on the water Genryu with its Sharingan eyes swirling ominously. The water Genryu lets out a low but rumbling growl, its body coiling as if preparing to strike. Naruto shifts into a defensive stance as it lunges forward, its massive jaws snapping at the air where Naruto had been standing just a moment before. Naruto leaps back as he easily avoids the attack. Akari. Find a spot to hide, Naruto shouts, his voice urgent as he keeps his eyes locked on the water Genryu. Akari nods quickly with her eyes scanning the area for cover before spotting a cluster of large boulders nearby and dashes towards them, her heart pounding in her chest. The water Genryu rears back and unleashes a barrage of water blasts. Each jet of water cuts through the air with incredible force, leaving deep gouges in the rocky terrain wherever they land. Naruto weaves through the onslaught with practiced ease, his body moving almost instinctively as he dodges, but couldn't help feel a twinge of excitement at the challenge. The water Genryu's attacks are fast and powerful, but to Naruto, they were moving in slow motion. This would be so easy if I could just take it out, Naruto thinks to himself with a small frown creasing his brow. I promised Akari we'd just stop them. Not destroy them, he thought, remembering Akari's words about their goal being to reach the summit and not to harm the Guardians. But as another jet of water hurtles towards him, slicing through the air with deadly precision, Naruto's instincts take over as in a burst of speed that leaves only a blur in his wake, launches himself directly at the water Genryu. Sorry big guy, Naruto mutters under his breath as his foot connects with the Genryu's scaly snout with a devastating punt kick. The impact sends a shockwave through the air, the sound of the collision echoing off the mountain walls. The water Genryu's head snaps back with its serpentine body writhing in pain and shock as Naruto lands gracefully on a nearby rock while watching the dragon carefully. The Genryu shakes its head, clearly dazed but not defeated, with its Sharingan eyes locked onto Naruto once more, but there's a hint of wariness in its gaze. Naruto. Remember, we need to not fight to kill, Akari's voice calls out from her hiding spot. Easy for you to say, Naruto mutters under his breath, his eyes fixed on the water Genryu. The dragon's Sharingan eyes swirl menacingly with its body coiling for another attack as Naruto coats his left arm in martial chi and lowers his stance. The water Genryu parts its jaws and reveals rows of razor-sharp teeth as it begins to charge another blast of water. The air grows heavy with moisture and the pressure building as the dragon prepares its attack. Time seems to slow as Naruto watches the water coalesce in the Genryu's mouth, but just as the dragon is about to release its devastating blast, Naruto moves rockets forward as the Genryu fires its attack, but the redhead has slipped past the dragon's guard. Martial Chi, Fist of Pluto, Naruto declares, his voice ringing as he punches up. The punch connects with devastating precision, despite its small size, and the dragon seems to hang suspended in the air, its body rigid from the force of the blow but with a low and rumbling groan. It slowly topples on its side with the ground shaking as the Genryu crashes down, its eyes sliding shut as consciousness leaves it. Akari emerges from her hiding spot as her eyes are wide with a mix of awe and concern. But what about not fighting to harm, she says, approaching cautiously. Sometimes the quickest way through is straight ahead. Don't worry, I didn't hurt it too badly. It'll wake up with a headache, but it'll be fine, Naruto explains with a small apologetic smile on his face. I suppose you're right, Akari concedes with a slow nod. Let's get going. We've still got a long way to the summit and I have a feeling the other Genryu won't be any easier to deal with, Naruto says, his expression turning serious once more, and they continue through the water Genryu gate and head further up the mountain. Meanwhile, and further up the mountain as Toby cautiously navigates through the domain of the lightning Genryu. His dark figure moves with purpose and the specialized armor he wears glowing faintly as it protects him from the harsh environment. The air around him crackles with electricity and a faint but acrid smell permeates the atmosphere. Toby's eyes dart around warily while taking in every detail of his surroundings of the rocky terrain scorched and blackened as evidence of the Genryu's power. Wisps of toxic vapor rise from cracks in the ground, a constant reminder of the dangers that lurk in this treacherous domain. His usual trump card of Kamui technique is rendered unusable in this poisonous land. The toxic fumes would seep into his pocket dimension, potentially causing irreparable damage or even trapping him there permanently. TCH, Toby says, clicking his tongue in frustration. He approaches the massive gates adorned with intricate lightning bolt patterns and Toby pauses. His Sharingan eye swirls while focusing on the majestic creature before him. Toby's hidden lips curl into a cruel smile beneath his mask. You'll do nicely, he murmurs, his voice barely audible over the constant hum of electricity in the air, but his Sharingan weaves a complex genjutsu. The dragon's eyes widen but then glaze over as the illusion takes hold. The familiar pattern of the Sharingan begins to swirl in the dragon's eyes. Good. Now guard this gate. Let no one pass, Toby says, satisfaction evident in his voice. The lightning Genryu bows its head in obedience and takes up a position at the entrance to its domain. Toby passes through the gate while pausing only briefly to look back at his new guardian before continuing his journey upward. Back with Naruto and Akari as the rocky path gradually shifts beneath their feet, becoming more stable and earthy. The air grows thicker with dust and the scent of rich soil. Hey Akari. Does something feel different to you? Naruto calls out, his eyes shifting over the terrain. We must be entering the Earth Genryu's domain now. Stay alert, Akari says, her eyes scanning their surroundings. They reach the Earth Genryu gate with intricate patterns of mountains and canyons carved into its surface, but what catches their attention is the dragon itself, perched atop the gate like a vigilant guardian. The Earth Genryu's scales shimmer with a metallic sheen, its body is solid and immovable as the mountains themselves. Akari, look. Its eyes. They have the same pattern as the water Genryu, Naruto whispers, pointing at the dragon's face and the Sharingan pattern in its eyes. This isn't good. Remember, please don't harm it too badly. It's not in control of its actions, Akari mutters, her eyes darting between Naruto and the imposing Earth Genryu. Naruto nods with a roll of his shoulders and cracks his knuckles. I hear you, Akari, he says, his blue eyes gleaming with excitement. The Earth Genryu lets out a low but rumbling growl as it drops down from its perch atop the stone gates. It lands with a thunderous impact, sending a shockwave through the ground that nearly knocks Naruto and Akari off their feet. Another growl reverberates through the air as a clear challenge to the young ninja, and Naruto takes a stance. The Earth Genryu's eyes narrow, its massive body tensing like a coiled spring, and the dragon charges forward, its flat head lowered like a battering ram. Here we go, Naruto thought, as the ground quakes beneath its thunderous steps. He plants his feet firmly while bending his knees to lower his center of gravity before throwing his hands forward with palms out. The impact is tremendous as Naruto's arms shake with the effort as he catches the full brunt of the Genryu's charge. The force pushes him backward with his feet digging two long, deep ruts into the rocky ground. Akari watches in awe as Naruto's feet slowly stop sliding and brings the Earth Genryu to a complete stop. The dragon lets out a deep but guttural growl, pushing forward once more and its powerful legs digging into the ground. The earth beneath its claws cracks and splinters, but to its shock, doesn't budge an inch as his grip tightens. He begins to lift the Earth Genryu off the ground as its front legs leave the earth. It thrashes and struggles, but Naruto's grip is unyielding and the ground beneath Naruto's feet starts to crumble and crack under the immense pressure, but his boots remain firmly planted. Amazing, Akari gasps out, watching as more and more of the dragon's massive body leaving the ground. Naruto doesn't respond, with his entire focus on the task at hand, and the Earth Genryu is now, with only its hind legs touching the ground, lets out a confused and slightly panicked roar. The ground under Naruto's feet continues to fracture, small fissures spreading out like a spider's web. He lifts the Earth Genryu completely off the ground and the dragon flails in the air, its wings unfurling instinctively but finding no purchase in Naruto's iron grip. His feet buried ankle-deep in the cracked earth and holds the massive Earth Genryu aloft, defying gravity and logic alike. Naruto's roars with a sound that rivals the dragon's own, pivoting and his body turning like a discus thrower preparing to launch. "Time for you to take a little nap," Naruto shouts, his voice echoing across the rocky terrain. He releases the dragon and sails towards the mountain wall, impacting with the collision is deafening as rocks and debris explode outward from the point of impact, creating a cloud of dust that obscures the dragon from view. The dust begins to settle as the silhouette of the Earth Genryu becomes visible, lying motionless and partially buried under a pile of fallen rocks. "Think that did the trick," Naruto says, smacking his hands and turning to Akari. I think so," Naruto Akari says with a nod, her eyes wide. They cautiously approach the fallen dragon, ready for any signs of movement, and draw closer but see the Earth Genryu's chest rising and falling slowly. "Looks like we broke the genjutsu," Naruto says softly, placing a hand on the dragon's rough scales. "We should keep moving, Naruto. There's no telling how long it'll be before Toby realizes we've broken through another of his traps," Akari says, a mix of relief and concern on her face. "You're right. Let's go," Naruto says as he stands, brushing the dust from his knees. They continue their ascent up Koryu, with the path growing steeper and more treacherous. Another sharp bend with a gust of wind nearly knocks Akari off her feet. Naruto instinctively grabs Akari's arm while steadying her. "Whoa. Guess we know what's coming next," he exclaims, his hair whipping around his face. "The wind Genryu's domain." "We're getting close," Akari says, her own long hair dancing in the wind. They press on, with the wind growing stronger with each step as the rocky path gives way to smooth, wind-worn stone, patterns etched into its surface by countless years of relentless gusts. They reach a wide-open area with the Genryu's gate is wide open as they exchange looks between each other. "Be on your guard, Naruto," Akari says, her brow furrowed. They approach the gate cautiously and the whips around them, carrying with it the scent of open sky and distant storms. "Where's the wind Genryu?" Naruto says, his eyes scanning the area to the gate. As if in answer to his question, a low but melodious hum fills the air. The sound seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, vibrating through the very stone beneath their feet. "Naruto," Akari whispers, her voice tight with tension. A gust of wind sweeps through the area as Naruto and Akari shield their eyes, squinting against the sudden breeze. When they lower their arms, find themselves face to face with the wind Genryu. The dragon hovers before them with its long but serpentine body undulating gracefully in the air. Unlike its earth and water counterparts, the wind Genryu's form is semi-transparent, with its scales shimmering like gossamer in the light. Its wings are enormous, spreading out like thin, iridescent membranes that catch every stray breeze. "Oh no. Toby got to this one too," Akari whispers, her voice barely audible over the gentle rustle of wind. "I was hoping we'd catch a break this time," Naruto says, a little frustration etched across his face. The wind Genryu lets out another low and melodious hum that seems to vibrate through the air itself. The sound is hauntingly beautiful, but there's an underlying tension to it and a promise of the storm to come. The dragon lunges forward with its semi-transparent body streaking through the air like a gust of wind given form, and Naruto's hands move in a blur, weaving signs with practiced precision. Raitun, Jien, Naruto shouts, his voice cutting through the howling wind. As the wind Genryo closes in, a brilliant purple light erupts from Naruto's hands. It coalesces into a crackling javelin of lightning, its energy so intense that the air around it hums with power. The purple lightning spear stretches out, its tip aimed directly at the oncoming dragon. The speed of Naruto's technique catches the dragon off guard, striking the dragon head-on, its energy arcing across the wind Genryo's ethereal form. The dragon lets out a keening wail, its body convulsing as the lightning courses through it. Its semi-transparent scales light up from within, creating a spectacular display of purple light dancing across its form. Amazing, Akari thought, as the wind Genryo is still reeling from the shock and struggles to maintain its position in the air. Its wings flutter erratically, and its long body writhes as it fights against the paralyzing effects of Naruto's lightning as the redhead shoots forward. Martial Chi, Fist of Jupiter, Naruto roars, his voice thundering across the battlefield and punching forward. The lightning crackles through air towards the wind Genryo and explodes into it, its impact felt quick as the dragon releases another keening wail. Its semi-transparent body lights up like a storm cloud, lightning arcing across every inch of its form, and the dragon crashes to the ground while falling in the slow rhythm of unconsciousness. Akari rushes to Naruto's side as her gaze darting between Naruto and the fallen wind Genryo. "That was," Akari says, while trailing off and her voice filled with admiration. "Yeah." Another Genryo taken down, Naruto says, rubbing the back of his neck and a roll of his neck. "We've made good progress. But we're not done yet. There are still 2 Genryo remaining." "Lightning and fire," Akari says, her expression turning serious as she surveys their surroundings. The wind has died down to a gentle breeze, carrying with it the scent of ozone from Naruto's lightning attacks. "Lightning and fire, huh?" Naruto muses, his voice calm and steady with his gaze trailing up the mountain. "Then let's continue up the mountain. Toby could be at the top and we need to stop him before he can." The Ryujin, Naruto says, his voice filled with quiet resolve. "You're right. We can't let him do more harm to the Genryo," Akari says with a nod in agreement, her own determination mirroring Naruto's. They up the pace and pass through the wind Genryo's gate to head further up as the air thins but the toxins increases. The air around them is thick with noxious fumes, creating a hazy but greenish mist that clings to the mountainside. Naruto wrinkles his nose at the acrid smell but feels no ill effects. They press on as the path is slick with condensation from the poisonous mist and soon reach the lightning Genryo's hall while the dragon waits. The dragon's form crackles with electrical energy, its scales a shimmering, metallic blue that seems to pulse with inner light. "We'll free you, noble guardian," Naruto mutters, and as if in response to his words. The air around them begins to crackle with energy and the lightning Genryo's body tenses, sparks dancing along its scales. "Let's end this quick," Naruto says, his hands move in a blur and weaving signs with practiced precision. His fingers settle into the final position of the ram seal and he holds it, and the dragon senses the buildup of power, reacting with blinding speed. Its body transforms into a living bolt of lightning while streaking towards Naruto with a deafening crack of thunder, but the redhead vanishes as the attack scorches the ground. "Futon, Atsugai," Naruto's voice booms across the mountaintop. The air around him seems to compress and forming a swirling vortex of wind. But unlike a typical tornado, this one is compact and dense while sending the compressed blast hurtling towards the lightning Genryo. The wind technique slams into it with tremendous force, the compressed air expanding on impact. The resulting explosion of wind sends the Genryo crashing into the ground, its body carving a deep furrow in the rocky terrain. Naruto lands as the dust settles with his eyes fixed on the fallen dragon, but its eyes slowly open as both tense. The hypnotic swirl of the Sharingan is gone to their relief, replaced by the Genryo's naturally brilliant gold irises. It's free. Akari breathes out, a smile of relief spreading across her face. Yeah, but we can't let our guard down yet. We still have one more Genryu to free and Toby to deal with, Naruto says, his own expression a mixture of satisfaction and concern. The Genryu slowly rises to its feet while shaking off the effects of the battle but regards Naruto and Akari with a look of gratitude. Akari steps forward as her gaze is locked with the majestic creatures and in a graceful motion that belies its enormous size, leans forward and gently touches its snout to Akari's forehead. You are free, noble brethren, Akari says softly and her voice filled with reverence. We should get going, she adds, turning to Naruto. Right. We're almost there, Naruto says, his gaze already shifting to the gate ahead. They take off while the Genryu watches them to defeat its last sibling. Naruto and Akari continue higher, but the air grows noticeably warmer, a stark contrast to the cool mountain breeze they've grown accustomed to. The rocky path beneath their feet begins to radiate heat and wisps of steam rise from cracks in the ground. They soon reach the Fire Genryu's gate and the massive structure stands before them, its intricate designs glowing with an inner fire. Beyond the threshold, see the Genryu itself with its scales, a mesmerizing pattern of reds and golds that seem to shift and dance like living flames. The Ryujin's temple is just beyond this gate, Akari says, her voice one of awe. And with it Toby too, Naruto says, his voice low and determined. He shifts his stance while preparing to face the dragon, but a sudden flash of blue light catches him off guard. The lightning Genryu streaks past them with a deafening crack of thunder and slams into its fellow Genryu, electricity and flame clashing in a spectacular display of elemental fury. The lightning Genryu is helping us, Akari exclaims and turns to Naruto. I will aid the lightning Genryu. You go through the gate and stop Toby before it's too late, she says, her expression serious. Be careful. I'll come back for you as soon as I can, Naruto says, locking eyes with Akari, and she nods while heading towards the battling dragons. Music, the vociferous remix GRV music, Prelude to Calamity, loop. Naruto sprints through the gate with the heat intensifying as he passes through, but he doesn't slow down. He soon reaches the summit with the grand staircase opening up to a wide plateau and a magnificent temple stands, its ancient architecture a testament to the power and wisdom of the Ryujin. But what catches Naruto's eye isn't the temple itself but the figure sitting casually on its steps. Toby, Naruto thought, as the masked man sits there while seemingly at ease, but a katana rests by his side. His orange mask gleams in the sunlight while hiding any expression he might have. Deidara must be dead if you're here, Toby says, but his voice surprisingly calm and matter of fact. So Naruto. Let me talk to you, he adds, and again there's no hint of concern or anger in his tone but simple observation. Naruto narrows his eye and is confused by Toby's casual demeanor. Talk? What could you possibly have to say, he asks, his voice laced with suspicion. This is the Ryujin. The very sword you've been chasing after, Naruto. The one you fought so hard for in that tournament, Toby says, his voice taking on a hint of smugness. Naruto knows all too well about the tournament on Hawkeye Island, his battle with Aki and Toby stealing the location of the sword he is currently caressing. But in the end, it didn't even matter, did it? Because now I have it, Toby says, and pauses to let the weight of his words sink in. Naruto takes a step forward as his body tenses with anger and frustration. What are you planning to do with it, he demands, though part of him dreads the answer. Toby stands slowly while lifting the Ryujin with an ease that belies its power. With this, I'll defeat pain and take the Rinnegan for myself, he says, his voice filled with dark determination. The implications of Toby's words hit Naruto like a physical blow, and the thought sends a shiver of fear through him. I won't let you, Naruto growls, dropping into a fighting stance. Toby tilts his head with his mask hiding any expression. Why fight me, Naruto? Why not join me instead? Serve as my pet and you'll have power beyond your wildest dreams, he asks, his voice smooth and persuasive. And if I refuse, Naruto says with his eyes narrowed. Then I'll simply take the Kyuubi from you. Either way I win. So what will it be, Toby says with his tone casual, as if discussing the weather. Naruto remains silent but raises his left and pulls his sword Jiger no Tengaku from his inventory, the black blade gleaming in the sunlight. I will never serve you, Toby. Not now, not ever, Naruto says, his voice filled with a firm resolve. Very well. You've made your choice, Naruto. Now let's see if you can back up those brave words with action, Toby says, his voice hardening. Toby reaches the last step and shoots forward as Naruto does the same. Their movements are so swift that they appear as blurs to the naked eye. The sound of metal striking metal rings out across the plateau as their blades meet in a shower of sparks. Their strikes are lightning fast, each matching the other blow for blow. It's as if they're mirror images of each other, their movements so perfectly synchronized that it's hard to tell who's attacking and who's defending. Naruto feels the raw power behind each of Toby's strikes as the Ryujin pulses with an otherworldly energy, making each clash feel like he's fighting against a force of nature itself. Their duel is a deadly dance with a whirlwind of strikes and parries that seems to defy the laws of physics. The ground beneath their feet cracks and splinters from the sheer force of their confrontation, the air vibrating and cutting into their clothes. He knows Lady Kushina's techniques well, Toby thought, as the continues to clash and their swords meet in a powerful lock. Steel grinding against steel as both push for dominance with the ground beneath their feet cracking under the pressure of their stalemate. Impressive, Naruto. Your mastery of the Uzumaki Ryu is commendable, Toby says, tilting his head and a hint of admiration in his voice. Naruto's eyes widen in surprise with his grip on sword tightening. How do you know about that? He demands, his voice a mix of confusion and suspicion. A low chuckle emanates from behind Toby's mask. Wouldn't you like to know? He taunts, his voice dripping with secrets untold. Toby forces the Ryujin forward with a grinding friction and a line of fire slashes across Naruto's cheek, blood running down his cheek as the wound smokes while reminding Naruto of his first hidden boss. Naruto leaps back while putting some distance between himself and Toby, but his mind races, trying to process this new information that Toby knows about the Uzumaki Ryu. Toby doesn't give Naruto to process as his left hand moves with one-handed signs. Katen, Bakufu Ranbu, Toby's voice rings out, followed by a deep inhale. A massive spiral of flames erupts from Toby's mask in an instant, expanding rapidly as it hurtles towards Naruto. The redhead reacts quickly by leaping high into the air, the flames passing harmlessly beneath him. The scent of scorched earth fills his nostrils as he twists in mid-air while bringing Jiger no Tengaku to bear. Uzumaki Ryu, Ryutswizen, Naruto thought, his blade whistling through the air as he prepares to strike. But Toby is far from helpless as with a graceful backward leap, evades Naruto's downward slash and the black sword embedding itself in the ground where he stood just moments before. He yanks his sword free and launches into a flurry of strikes, each one aimed with deadly precision as his blade becomes a blur of motion, attacking from every angle in a dizzying display of swordsmanship. Toby matches him blow for blow with the Ryujin moving fluidly in Toby's hands, meeting each of Naruto's strikes with equal force. The clash of their blades creates a symphony of metal on metal, echoing across the plateau, and Naruto can't help but feel a grudging respect for Toby's skill. Toby leans in close with his mask mere inches from Naruto's face as their blades lock once again. It's a shame, you know. You can't use your full powers here like you did on Hawkeye Island. The toxins on this mountain sap your chakra. Despite being the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, Toby says, his voice low and mocking. Naruto's face remains serious with his brow furrowed in concentration as he pushes against Toby's blade, but then his expression morphs into a smirk to catch Toby off guard. And who decided that? Naruto says, grabbing Toby's wrist as he goes SSJ and quickly pulls Toby forward. He slams his forehead into Toby's mask and the impact is tremendous, far beyond what Toby expected. A sickening crack echoes across the plateau as fissures spider web across the orange surface of the mask. Toby staggers backward while clearly stunned by the sudden turn of events, and pieces of his mask crumble away, revealing the face beneath as his eye widens in shock. How? Toby sputters, his composure shattered along with his mask. Toby's face is half marred by deep, jagged scars that twist his flesh into a grotesque landscape. Poison immunity. The toxins on this mountain don't affect me at all, Naruto says, his voice tinged with pride and blood running down his forehead. Toby's eyes narrow with a hint of a smile tugging at the unscarred corner of his mouth. You're full of tricks, aren't you? As expected of Sensei's son, he says, his voice a mix of amusement and grudging admiration as the words hang in the air between them but heavy with implication. It seems I've underestimated you, Naruto, but the game is far from over, Toby says, his hand tightening on the hilt of the Ryujin. Game? This isn't a game, Toby, Naruto spits out, his voice hard. Toby's eyes glint with an unreadable emotion but then drives the Ryujin into the ground, the blade sinking easily into the earth, its hilt quivering slightly from the impact. How about we end this as shinobi instead of with swords? Our skills as ninja, Toby says, his voice calm but laced with anticipation, and Naruto pauses to consider the offer. Fine by me, Naruto says, sending Jiger no Tengaku back into his inventory. Music change, Naruto Shippuden OST Kokuten, loop. Naruto unties the jacket from around his waist and tosses it aside, then pulls on his fingerless gloves with his eyes never leaving Toby's scarred face. Bring it, Toby, Naruto says, his teal eyes blazing with strength. The air between them crackles with tension, almost like the calm before a storm, but then they both explode into action, closing the distance between them in the blink of an eye. The ground cracking beneath their feet from the sheer force of their acceleration. They meet in the middle with a thunderous clash, their knees striking each other simultaneously. The impact sends shockwaves through the air and kicking up a cloud of dust around them. Neither gives an inch as their legs tremble with exertion as they push against each other. If I could use Kamui, this would be over in an instant. He's strong, but he isn't as clever as Sensei. Still, no matter what, I'll win this without it, Toby muses silently, knowing his trump card could end this. Both fighters disengage and leap back to create some distance, eyeing each other warily with muscles tense and ready to spring into action. They do, and what follows is a dazzling display of taijutsu that leaves Naruto shocked. Their movements mirror each other with uncanny precision, each punch met with a block, each kick countered perfectly, as if Toby can predict Naruto's every move and not just by using the Sharingan. Naruto's fist whistles through the air while aiming for Toby's jaw, only to be deflected by a swift forearm block. In the same breath has Toby's knee rising while seeking Naruto's midsection, but Naruto twists away at the last second. Their exchange continues at a breakneck pace as their limbs blur with speed. This style. It's just like Dad's hummingbird taijutsu, Naruto thought, his eyes widening as he blocks a punch with an elbow. Toby's movements shift slightly as if to confirm his suspicion, becoming even more fluid and unpredictable. Their fists and feet clash in a dizzying dance, neither able to land a solid hit. Toby manages to grab both of Naruto's hands in an instant, locking them in a test of strength with their fingers intertwined as they push against each other. How do you know this style? Naruto says, his eyes nearly locked with Toby's eyes but avoids direct eye contact. Your father was an excellent teacher, Toby says, his eye crinkling in what might be a smirk. Before Naruto can process this information, feels Toby's grip on his right hand shift and uses his own fingers to weave signs. Mokuton, Sashiki no Jutsu, Toby calls out, his voice triumphant. A searing pain erupts in Naruto's right hand as a wooden branch bursts forth from Toby's palm and piercing through Naruto's flesh. The branch is rough and unyielding, tears through muscle and bone, emerging from the other side of Naruto's hand in a grotesque display. Naruto breaks the branch off and his left lashes out with a straight punch connecting with Toby's face. Toby is sent flying backward with his body skids across the rocky terrain, leaving a trail of disturbed earth in his wake. He tumbles several times before finally coming to a stop with his usual grace momentarily abandoned. Fucking hell, Naruto thought. Blood drips steadily from the wound and forming a small crimson pool at his feet, but the redhead pulls the wood free. A faint sizzling sound catches his attention as Musashi is already healing his wound and slowly knitting itself back together. What do you mean my father was a great teacher? Naruto demands, his voice a mix of confusion and anger while clenching his healed fist. Toby is still recovering from Naruto's powerful punch with his eyes narrowing but a hint of amusement dancing in its depths. I could tell you, but should I? He says, his voice dripping with mockery. Stop playing games with me, Naruto shouts, a hint of frustration evident in his voice despite his gamer mind. Game? What makes you think you deserve anything, Naruto? The world doesn't work on what we deserve but on what we take for ourselves, Toby says, his tone thoughtful yet taunting. Toby begins to circle Naruto slowly with his movements predatory and Naruto turns with him, unwilling to let the man who started all this out of his sight. Your father was many things. A prodigy unlike you. A leader unlike you. A hero to some. But to me, he was a teacher. And oh, what lessons he taught, Toby continues, his voice low and measured. Boya, this man is from Konoha, but don't let him go, Musashi says, as Toby's words hang in the air. Naruto releases a deep breath while steadying himself. You're right, he thought, his resolve strengthening as he wouldn't fall for Toby's mind games. Toby bursts into action once again and rushes at Naruto with a flurry of punches and kicks, his movements a blur of speed and precision, but Naruto mirrors Toby's attacks with surprising accuracy. Toby sees an opening and with lightning speed, thrusts his hand forward and grabs Naruto in a chokehold. But Naruto is ready and brings his arm down hard, breaking Toby's grip. The momentum of his movement carries through as Naruto pivots on heel into a powerful roundhouse kick. His foot connects solidly with Toby's stomach, the impact resonating through the air. Toby's eyes widen in surprise as the breath is driven from his lungs and sends him stumbling backward but regains his footing. I don't care what lessons you think my father taught you. I'm not here for your history lesson. I'm here to stop you, Naruto says, his voice filled with resolve. Toby tilts his head with his eyes narrowing with intrigue. Are you sure? The knowledge might help you defeat me, he asks, his voice a mixture of amusement and challenge. Naruto shoots forward as Toby does the same, with time seeming to slow, Teal and Sharingan nearly locking to take in every detail. Toby's half-scarred face to Naruto's determined one, every fold in the Akatsuki cloak as it billows behind him, but Toby shocks Naruto as a familiar orb of chakra form in his right hand. That's? Naruto thought, his eyes widening in disbelief. Now I win, sensei, with the same move you defeated me with, Toby thought, thrusting the growing orb of chakra forward. Naruto didn't dodge but faced it head-on and cocks his left fist and sends it forward. Iron annihilation, he roars, and the collision is catastrophic. Naruto's fist meets Toby's Rasengan and the resulting shockwave shakes the very ground beneath their feet, sending ripples of energy outward in all directions. The two forces battle for dominance for a moment, but Naruto is more powerful as the explosion of chakra sends both combatants flying backward, but their reactions were vastly different. Toby skids across the ground with his hand smoking from the intense discharge of chakra. The force of the blast caught him off guard and for a moment, his usual composure faltered. He barely has time to regain his footing before Naruto is upon him. Hyakuritsuken, Naruto roars, unleashing what seems like 100 punches towards Toby. His fists move with blinding speed and Toby is now on the defensive as he blocks some, but Naruto is overwhelming and punch after punch slips through Toby's guard, each impact resonating with a dull thud. The barrage continues as Naruto gains the upper hand while pushing Toby back with each successive strike. Toby leaps back with his Akatsuki cloak billowing as he puts some distance between them, but Naruto wasn't about to give him a moment's respite. Naruto extends his index and pinky fingers outward while leaving the rest folded and a Rasengan forms but crackles with purple lightning, its power palpable in the air. Impressive, Naruto. But you actually need to hit me with that jutsu for it to be effective, Toby says, a hint of mockery in his voice. Naruto vanishes sudden and Toby's eyes wide and his body tenses. Murasaki, Naruto says, his voice coming from behind. Before Toby could fully turn, his jutsu unleashes and the purple Rasengan shoots forward like a bolt of lightning. Time seems to slow as Toby realized the danger as the lightning-fast jutsu closes and devastating effects. It tears through Toby's left arm, shearing it clean off at the shoulder and ripping away a significant portion of his torso. Blood sprays into the air as Toby stumbles forward, his breath coming out in ragged gasps. Despite the severity of his injuries, a chilling laugh escaped from behind his mask. You think this gets you victory? All simply. Toby wheezes out, his voice strained but still dripping with mockery. His words trail off as he realizes the specialized armor beneath his cloak, designed to regulate his chakra flow, has been completely destroyed. No. With the toxin in my system, I can't use Izanagi. Let alone Kamui, Toby thought, panic rising in his chest. He crashes to his knees with his remaining arm, braces him as he does with blood pouring from his wounds and staining the earth beneath him. Your father. He should have been too late to save you, Toby wheezes out, his voice barely audible and a look of anger on his face. Who are you? Naruto says, stepping closer with his voice intense. Haha. Ask Kakashi. Ask him who I am, Toby said, his gaze now locked onto Naruto's, and with those final words, Toby's strength gives out and his body slumps forward to collapse onto the blood-soaked ground, his chest slowing but then stopping altogether. Naruto stands there as the implications of Toby's last words hit him with the connection to Kakashi, the mention of his father, and it all swirls in his mind like pieces of a puzzle he couldn't quite solve. Song ends. Quest complete. Reward. 1 + 1000 to stats. 2. Sharingan and all abilities. The battlefield falls silent with the echoes of their fierce battle fading away, and Naruto's gaze remains fixed on Toby's lifeless form, but a sharp pain shoots through his left eye and he clutches at his ornate eye patch. Did you forget? The quest reward is Toby's Sharingan and all its abilities, Musashi says, with a soft laugh as the pain subsides. Naruto blinks with realization dawning on him before reaching up and gently pulls off his eye patch, revealing the charcoal eye beneath amid the scar. Yeah, I did, Naruto mutters, slipping the eye patch back on and deciding to examine his new acquisition later. His attention shifts from Toby's lifeless body to the Ryujin still driven into the ground as he makes his way towards it. Naruto, a familiar voice shouts, as he reaches for the sword. He turns to see Akari rushing towards him, her face a mixture of relief and concern, but also the fire and lightning Genryo flying above. Are you all right? Akari continues, as Naruto pulls the sword free from the dirt. Naruto holds out the legendary blade to her as she reaches him. Toby has been defeated. The Ryujin is safe now, he said, his voice steady. Akari's eyes widen as she carefully takes the sword from him. Thank you, Naruto. You've done more than we could have ever asked, she said softly, her fingers tracing the intricate designs on the blade. Naruto nods with his gaze drifting to the sky where Genryo continue their majestic flight. What now, he asks, turning back to Akari. A serene smile spread across Akari's face as her body begins to emit a soft but ethereal glow. Now. I will fulfill my duty, she said, her voice taking on an otherworldly quality. Akari's form begins to shift and expand to Naruto's astonishment, her human features melting away and replaced by gleaming white scales and powerful wings. A majestic white dragon now stands in place of Akari, its presence both awe-inspiring and humbling. It seems Akari was a Genryo herself, Musashi says, as Akari lowers her massive head and gently presses her snout against Naruto's chest in a gesture of gratitude. Naruto is still stunned by the revelation, instinctively raises a hand to touch her scales, feeling the warmth and power radiating from them. Akari gives Naruto one more meaningful look before spreading her wings and taking to the sky, joining the other Genryo dragons. Together they form a breathtaking spectacle against the backdrop of the battle-worn landscape, but in a brilliant flash of light that momentarily blinds Naruto. The dragons vanish while leaving behind only the fading echoes of their roars and the lingering sense of awe in the air. The light fades and his vision clears as Naruto finds himself alone on the battlefield, the weight of all that has transpired settling upon him. Can't leave you here, Naruto mutters with his gaze now on Toby, before reaching into his inventory for a stasis scroll. He unrolls it on the ground next to Toby and turns his body on it while adding a seal in case, before his hands moving through a series of quick seals. Toby's body vanishes in a puff of smoke, sealed within the scroll for safe transport back to Konoha and get the answers he seeks. Time to head home. Itachi and the girls are not going to believe this story, Naruto said to himself, finding his discarded jacket caught on a piece of rock and slips it on. He lifts off the ground and gazes at the Ryujin's temple one last time but closes his eyes. He clasps his hands together while offering a silent prayer of respect to the temple and the spirits that dwell within. He opens them and his body is surrounded by a blue aura as he launches away and down Ambakoryu with the wind whipping around him. He reaches the base and changes trajectory towards the ocean to hopeful see another whale and getting another picture but is unaware of the tragedy unfolding in aim. Music, Jiraiya, Naruto Shippuden Ost. The rain of aim fall relentlessly with a curtain of water obscuring the desolate landscape. Jiraiya drags his battered body across a large jagged piece of rock jutting out from the vast lake surrounding the hidden village. His breath comes in ragged gasps with each movement sending jolts of agony through his mutilated form. His right arm is now nothing more than a bloody stump ending at the elbow and his left leg, severed at the knee, both leaving a trail of crimson in its wake. Despite the excruciating pain and weariness, his mind remains focused on a single goal of reach the Elder Toad Paw before it is too late. Time is running out as he could sense the approaching chakra signatures of his pursuers, led by the one person he had never expected to face in battle. His former student Yahiko, and the bitter irony of the situation wasn't lost on Jiraiya, even in his dire state. Yahiko. He's the leader of Akatsuki. How could such earnest boy become such a tainted man, Jiraiya thought, as he inches forward. Memories of happier times flash through his mind, teaching the orphans of aim, watching them grow and flourish under his guidance. The pitter-patter of the rain seems to mock him, a constant reminder of the village's sorrow and the weight of his failure. Jiraiya grits his teeth while forcing his battered body to move faster. His thoughts drifted to his beloved wife Tobium and their princess Tsunade, their faces flash in his mind and giving him renewed strength. I can't give up now. Tobium would revive me as Edo to let then tag team me for dying, Jiraiya muttered, his voice barely audible over the pounding rain. Do you believe you can escape God? A familiar voice says, like a chilling omen of the situation. Jiraiya's heart sinks as he glances over his shoulder. There stands Yahiko and his former student, his short spiky orange hair dripping with rain, wearing a long-sleeve white button-up shirt with a black, lavender and silver from behind waistcoat, a white cravat, black pants with calf-length boots. The stolen Rinnegan gleams in his eyes and a testament to how far he has fallen. His 6 paths of pain loom around him ominously, each housing a Rinnegan of their own and dressed similarly to Yahiko as well. Jiraiya forces himself to focus despite his dire situation, committing each figure to memory after fighting each. The first is a stunningly beautiful woman with long, flowing hair the color of moonlight. The second is a young man with silky purple hair that cascaded down his back, his face a mask of serene indifference. The third path is an elderly man with a long white beard and eyebrows that connected to his balding, pointed hair. A peculiar monocle covers his right eye, resembling a metal eye patch with a black swirl etched into its surface. Next to him stands a stark contrast of a dark-skinned, corpulent man adorned with intricate symbols and his beard shimmered with golden hues, while the hair on his head is neatly bundled. The fifth path is impossible to miss, of a towering but muscular figure with wild white hair and 6 powerful arms, 2 normal and 4 mechanical in nature. Red markings crisscrossed his body, giving him an otherworldly appearance. The last path is another tall, dark-skinned man with distinctly older features. His white hair is slicked back and a neatly trimmed white beard frames his face, accentuated by a golden-plated goatee. My paths, sensei, are a testament to the power of the Rinnegan. The power to bring true peace to this world, Yahiko says, tinged with a mixture of pride and sorrow. Why, Yahiko? This isn't the way. This isn't the peace we dreamed of, Jiraiya says, his jaw clenched and the weight of his failure pressing down on him. The dream was naive, sensei. This is the reality of our world. Only through pain can we achieve true understanding, Yahiko says, his unblinking eyes looking down from on high. Jiraiya looks away with flickering eyes and turns his attention to Pa as time seems to slow to a crawl. The 6 paths of pain lunge forward with their movements fluid and deadly. Jiraiya boy, Pa shouts, his gravelly voice filled with urgency and concern. Jiraiya summons the last reserves of his strength, moving with a sudden burst of speed that surprised even him. He lunges forward with his remaining arm outstretched, fingers grasping desperately for Pa's webbed hand. In a flash of smoke and a rush of displaced air, they vanish and are reverse summoned away from the battlefield as the paths crash down. "You got away, Sensei," Yahiko murmurs, and his voice barely audible above the constant patter of rain. "No matter. Jiraiya will serve as a messenger for God. His escape will spread the word of pain and the world will know true fear," he said, addressing his paths as if they would reply. Yahiko turns away with the rain washing away the blood that marked Jiraiya's desperate struggle. High above and barely visible through the thick curtain of rain is Konan, her paper wings spread wide while watching the scene below with a mixture of relief and anguish. Her amber eyes shimmer with unshed tears as she gazes at the spot where Jiraiya had disappeared. "Live, Sensei. Please live and come back," Konan whispers, her words carried away by the wind and rain. Conan's gaze shifts to Yahiko with his form growing smaller as he walks away with the 6 paths. Her heart clenches painfully in her chest, and not because of the seal placed there by him. Konan makes a silent prayer for Jiraiya's survival, for his return, not just to stop Yahiko's mad quest for peace through pain but to save her as well. Conan's hand unconsciously drifts to her stomach, resting gently on the slight swell that has begun to form there. A wave of conflicting emotions wash over her like fear, shame, and a flicker of hope she couldn't quite extinguish. The memory of that night, when Yahiko had come to her, his eyes blazing with the Rinnegan and his mind consumed by his vision of peace, sent a shudder through her body. Konan closes her eyes while fighting back the tears that threaten to spill. The child growing within her is a product of that night, a testament to how far Yahiko had fallen from the boy she once knew. Yet despite the circumstances of its conception, couldn't bring herself to hate the innocent life she now carries. "And you, little one. I'll save you too." Somehow, Konan whispers, her fingers splayed protectively over her abdomen. The rain seems to fall harder, as if nature itself is trying to wash away the pain and confusion that plagues her. Konan steels herself with a deep breath and flies back to aim while keeping this secret for now, until the day came when she could finally break free from the chains of pain's twisted ideals. And that wraps up today's chapter of Naruto, the Gamer Experience. Naruto's journey is only getting crazier. New powers, stronger enemies, bigger mysteries, and legendary battles still await. If you enjoyed this chapter, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next upload. Comment below, what was your favorite moment in this chapter? Until next time. Keep grinding. Keep leveling up. And I'll see you in the next chapter.